Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Thank you, as always, for joining us on the program. Back with us is Robert Maxxim. We're talking about his book series, Legacy. Legacy is a story of mankind's sojourns through history. It describes one man's incredible journey through several lifetimes as far back as 1,000,000 years, his blunders and triumphs, and many worlds and places where these experiences took place. It's the Legacy series. We'll give you information on where you can get the books during the course of the program. Roberto Gayton is back in the program, Robert Maxxim, the author of the book. And Robert it's interesting because we've done so many shows together, so many fascinating shows that if you go to our This Week in America website, thisweekinamerica.us, you go to YouTube and go to iTunes, you can get all the past shows and get caught up with everything. Robert, it's great to have you back on the program. Thank you so much for once again being back and sharing this with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Rick.
And we are doing the video version of this, so if you go to the website and you go to YouTube, you will be able to see exactly what we're talking about here. And this for you goes all the way back. I'm talking about the Legacy series, and I'm talking about this sojourn through history, and you're thinking, that really would be neat to do that. Some guy's going back like 1,000,000 incredible years. That actually was you, right? This basically, Legacy is an autobiographical story.
It is, and it's something that I've been compiling since I was about 5 years old, where I had several experiences. I guess I'll speak in terms of that people understand: in the body, out of the body, visions, UFO sightings, the gamut, trips to other worlds and visions, only to find out later on that other people have seen the same thing. So I don't feel so lonely anymore.
No, and that's what's amazing. And if somebody's listening and going, I'm sort of skeptical of that, you were too. You spent years trying to prove what you had thought to be accurate. You wanted to find out, no, there's an explanation for this. This really didn't happen to me. So you went into this as a skeptic, and you found out what you saw was exactly what you saw.
I was a concert pianist, and I had never read about any of these topics, wasn't familiar with it at all. It starts happening, and there came a point where I said, well, I have to check this out. And sure enough, after many years, I found a tremendous amount of evidence that everything checked out. And so that's what motivated me to write Legacy, and it's an experience that I share with a lot of other individuals in this world.
Well, yeah, as you got to looking into this, and this is a journey that's been, 40 years where you've been studying science and technology and trying to get answers and to find out the answers that you think you got, if those were accurate. And you find along the way there were a number of people that had shared experiences. Talk about that when you actually sit down and you talk with these people and you find out their journeys were much like yours.
You know, it's an interesting conversation, and I could be talking with them for hours because I'll be talking about something, and before you know it, the other person will say, "Oh, did you see this?" And say, "Oh, yes." And did you see that? It's like we're mentally cashed in, and what I'm trying to explain, they're already envisioning because they had experienced it, and the same thing happens to me. And I can be on the phone in person for hours with these individuals, and we just have a ball.
Well, I can imagine that. And we're talking about the Legacy series of books. The information is available, usual bookstores around the country. Robert's website is rgayton, GAETAN.com. You can link on directly at our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and get information on the book series. And the book really it's a love story at its core, too, isn't it? I mean, there's so many elements that make this such a fascinating read for the series.
Yes, I went ahead and wrote it in the texture of the beings that I've met. When you read this book, the way that people speak to one another and act, the color of their voices, the tones, the words they use, this is how they live. This is, in their words, is their belief, their faith, their dedication to God. So when I wrote this book, I tried to put myself aside and try to let them come through and write their own expressions in real time. And when I read it back, I certainly recall what these people are, but by the very nature of what is in that book.
It's difficult to put it into a category, a genre, because there are so many elements that you touch on in the Legacy series. And again, information available at the usual online outlets and at rgaetan, GAETAN.com. Go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly. On the last program, we took some questions from listeners, and we'll encourage you, if you have questions, because Robert will be back on the program, you can go to our website, and there's an area there where you can get in contact with us. And I want to pick up on some of the questions that we had. The first one I'm going to touch on briefly because we had this last time, and I'm sure people are listening for the first time. Their thinking is, why you? A select number of people have been chosen for this experience. Why do you think you were among the few that were chosen?
Well, that is a very complicated answer, but everyone is at a different stage of development. When you look at humanity as a whole, there's many who would reject this information as soon as they saw it. But speaking honestly, it'd be surprising if people went ahead and recollected their dreams, their visions, their feelings for many, many years. They would find out that they were actually trying to have these experiences, but their own personal self or their ego self blocked it. So, word to the wise is, you came to this life to try to understand yourself, to understand infinity. The moment you get into that road, you're opening up your mind to possibilities and answers that you never thought were possible. Everyone is capable of having these experiences. Everyone is.
So it's interesting because what you're saying, I believe, is if someone is thinking, why not me? We may be fighting it. It may be a closed mind. It may be subtle resistance, subconscious resistance that we're putting up.
That is correct. And once you have an understanding of what life really is and its purpose, you go like, oh, wow, so that's what I've been doing all this time. The Legacy book series really goes into an answer of that and how this particular character started out completely unaware of any of this, and slowly he is taught how to open his mind and discover his own problems. There are many experiences from our past, from this life, from other lives that come into whole. And when you are born into this world, all those experiences just come in and whap, they encircle you, your emotions, your fears, your angers, your desires. You're just overwhelmed with these thoughts, and you tend to them. You become their slave. So once you understand them, you can say, you know what? Stop. I want nothing to do with this. I'll understand you. I'll keep you in mind, but I'm not going to go the way you want. I'm going to go this other way, because there is a positive side to you, a higher side to you, which a lot of individuals understand as the voice, the small, still voice within. And that is the part of God that is inside of you and is trying to help you out of that subconscious misery.
Bill Sullivan is who we follow in the Legacy series, and it's interesting that you bring that up. We have a question from a listener in Los Angeles who asked, do your experiences conflict with the Bible? Are you a religious person? And you sort of led into that. Some might look at this and go, if you believe this, then you don't believe that. How do you reconcile that?
I love that question. Legacy is full of answers to what I'm going to explain, but obviously I am a very devotional man. I love God. I love the two rules, which are love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and effort, and love your fellow man as yourself. That is interpreted as know yourself, love yourself. Because if you don't do that, how can you love and understand others, and much less your God? So Jesus himself described this method, but most people don't pay attention to it. Now, is the Bible in conflict with myself or what I have explained in Legacy? And the answer is, according to the original writings, the answer is no. However, we have to consider that there have been, in all due merit to history, there have been up to 6-7 generations of editing and translation of these original writings. And what we have in our hands today is not the original. And speak of conflict, I looked up according to the Center that studies Christian groups. You know how many different Christian groups there are in the world?
No, but I'd be fascinated to find out.
43,000 in the year 2012.
And they all have various interpretations.
They're all in conflict with one another. So it is what it is. Individuals need to, my famous statement is, become more of what you say you are. And that way you will understand better where you're in. Now, the writings, the original writings were in Hebrew. And we can go through the Masoretic text, the Septuagint, the Latin Vulgate that was written, and then King James, and then New King James, and then NIV. There have been hundreds and hundreds of different translations. Jehovah's Witnesses had their own translations. Different other faiths have other translations and interpretations. It is it's quite an ordeal, but I don't want to take too much time on that.
Well, it's interesting, and I'm hearing you saying that because of your experiences, you may have a better handle on religion than other people do.
I try to read the original text in its original language, which is Hebrew. And here's a little surprise for everyone. Hebrew cannot be translated. And efforts that were made to go from Hebrew to more modern languages, first of all, each letter in Hebrew has a meaning. It's a dictionary. A word comprising several letters is an encyclopedia. An entire phrase in Hebrew is like war and peace.
Wow.
You cannot translate it. And if you take, for example, the word emunah, which means faith in Hebrew, and you translate it to Greek, well, the Greeks had another word for faith, which is called pistis. And pistis in Greek meant another type of faith. So the faith of the Old Testament and the faith of the New Testament are two separate things. Emunah basically means that you love God with all your heart and your soul and your mind. You give your life for God. You have a complete understanding. You feel Him. You don't want yourself. You want God. Now, pistis means something totally different. It means you don't really need to understand God. You just trust in whatever you got is fine.
Right.
Fascinating
discussion, and the book is it's a series of books called Legacy. Our guest on the program is Robert Maxxim, the author. That's Maxxim. The website for total information on the book, and it's an excellent website. Photo evidence. It's got a lot of documents there that support what Robert's talking about. Is rgaetan.com, GAETAN.com. You can log on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Just hit the link on, you go directly to the website. Time always goes by so quickly. I want to take another question here from a listener in Fairbanks, and we will get through all of these no matter how many shows it takes. So if you're listening and have questions, go to the website, submit them, and we'll actually talk about these. Mm-hmm. This one is interesting, are aliens good or bad? Should we fear? Do you fear? And what's their mission?
Oh boy, I'll give you 5 answers. Good and bad, yes. There's a little bit of everything. I try to side with the good. The fear of it, well, I'll tell you, whatever fear we have, it's bound to come from something we ourselves did that we remember. Remember the movie War of the Worlds?
Yes.
And how fearful people were of that? Well, there's something there that reminds us of something that we've done. We have not been the brightest light bulb out there in past history.
Yes.
We've done some pretty wicked things. And, we have some sort of amnesia when we come back. But, our actions are not amnesiaed. We will repeat what we did in the past. We do it with our angers, our fears, our aggressiveness. And, we want to go to war, we want to defend ourselves. Where is that coming from? If we're really brothers and we understand that there's a spark of God in each of us, we would never think of hurting somebody else. Trade my life for somebody else anytime. And that is what Jesus tried to teach us. So why, if we're God-loving, we would act in such a way? The higher spiritual brothers that work with us, they would never do anything that would harm us. If anything, they hope that the world opens up and becomes a friendlier, more light-filled world that is not so preoccupied with fear, and that they're going to be attacked by aliens, and there's going to be war. Just worry about learning more about yourself, and if you change yourself, that's one more spark of this world that has changed, and now we're leveraging the world towards a more positive side. The more of us that can join into that positiveness, the faster this world is going to get fixed. But it starts with you.
How long did it take you to get to that realization?
I've had it since I was a child. I was born with it.
So basically, that's something that you had, and you've just nurtured over all these years.
Yes, and I have not been the most pleasant person to be around because I also have a past. I made mistakes. And like a sine wave, you'll have good times, you'll have bad times. I've made mistakes, several of them, but I am here to learn from those mistakes and keep moving forward. Never look back again. Look forward. The past is our legacy. The future is love. And that's certainly where we all need to go. What we have to lose is the best deal there is.
Robert Maxxim is our guest on This Week in America. That's Maxxim. We're talking about his book, The Legacy Series. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Log on directly and link up with Robert's website, rgaetan, GAETAN.com. Information, again, available at the website. Rapidly running out of time. One more question, and then you've got a special presentation for us at the end of the program. I see people, and we saw it with Star Wars, people bust out, and science fiction is one of the hottest genres of movies out there. What's your impression with science fiction? I can see you sitting in a movie theater going, been there, done that type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that, do you see a lot of things like, okay, that's sort of accurate, but it's not quite accurate the way that I recall? Are you a science fiction fan?
I definitely take science fiction very seriously because science fiction is a way of helping me, how should I phrase it? Tune in a way, recall, have a reaction. And when I watch something like that and I feel like, gosh, that guy's got to get it, or boy, he's going to get hurt. Whenever I get those reactions, I go like, okay, I just remembered something. Why did I feel that way? And I start analyzing that, and before you know it, that's why, I did this, and blah, 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 blah. Usually what you react to is something you yourself did.
Interesting.
So that is, how else would you understand it? How would you know it's wrong? How would you know it's imparting pain? And your life cycle, since you were a child, is not enough to actually build that. And I've talked to a lot of psychologists about that. You remember, you feel it. It's inside of you. What you see is not coming from the movie screen. It's coming from inside of you. And how I see it, how you see it, we're watching the same screen. We're going to have two wholly separate reactions. And it's based on what you've got inside that you brought back into this life. So here's your great opportunity to get away from it all and stop all these negative cycles that you keep coming back into. Realize them. Understand them for what they are, even though you don't have all the details. It's just important that you realize this is a negative experience. I don't want to do that. I understand what it does. It's wrong. It's because of this and this and this. And the impact that it creates to the entire universe. I mean, we're all tied by energy to the entire universe. You do one wrong thing, and that may have an impact 1,000 light years from here. It's that serious. So we as beings, we're destroying ourselves, we're destroying this planet by the way that we act and by being ignorant of the fact that we do practically nothing to understand ourselves and the energies of our own past that we just keep regenerating. If people did that, would there be any insane asylums? Be zero. Mental disease would be eradicated. Even diseases would go away. And you heard a lot of my testimonies where I've been deathly sick, and I've seen something from the past that caused this illness to appear the way that it did in this life. Maybe a hanging or I was quartered, drawn, whatever. I see those things in a minute, gone. The disease is gone. No medication.
Well, the time always goes by way too quickly. Always a fascinating discussion. You've got a presentation here at the end of the program. Tell us what we're going to be witnessing here.
Well, I've been working for quite some time on making a movie of my visions on Venus. Now, it's not the planet Venus that we know, but as you know, there are many dimensions above this physical world. This would be a spiritual dimension, which I visited. And while this video is still under construction, and there will be a lot more lighting effects, these worlds are full of light. So if you'll beg pardon the power outage, as I call it, in the video, you'll get a glimpse of what this experience was from the time that I arrived there, and I can help narrate a few of the things that you're going to be seeing. This 1-minute presentation will show you a world that most likely when you cross over, this is where you're going to go, and this is what you're going to see.
I appreciate the explanation set up there. Let's go ahead and see this.
All righty, I'm starting the video. And here we go. So this is a higher plane of Venus, a city they're in. As you can see, everything is energy. Even rocks themselves glow.
Wow, yeah.
Because they're energy. The grass is transparent. Everything is light-filled. And the flowers, when you come near them, they will actually point towards you, and they will emit their fragrance at you like this. I was then invited by 5 beings, and this is as close a representation as I could make of them, to take a tour. And this is immediately what I saw. Again, the flowers are turning towards you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, and this is the main city. Now, this is not a finished video, but this is what their main city of Azure looks like.
And if you go to the YouTube channel, and you can see exactly what we're talking about here with Robert's video.
Mm-hmm.
Very vivid colors here. This really is impressive.
Mm-hmm. So more coming. Stay tuned. Next time there will be more.
We will do that the next time. And once again, to pick up the video version of the program, you just go to thisweekinamerica.us. At that point, go to YouTube and you'll click on and you'll see Robert Maxxim and the program recorded, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about with that video there. That's very good. That's under construction, so we'll see the updated version when Robert is back with us the next time. Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program. That's Maxxim. Robert's book series is called Legacy. Information available at book outlets all around the country. Information available at his website, Gaetan, Gaetan.com. And you can link on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Robert, as always, a pleasure to have you on the program. We answered a few more of the listeners' questions. Again, if you have questions, just go to the website and submit those, and we'll talk about those. Look forward to having you back with us on the program. Thank you. Fascinating program as always. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You bet. Drown me with questions. I love them.
Keep them coming in, and we'll get to them eventually here on This Week in America. Once again, our guest is Robert Maxxim, author of the Legacy series. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us.